All right, we're coming live, folks, so hang in there with us.
Yeah, my stream just started. Let's see if YouTube's going yet.
I think I'll play the countdown again here.
Todd and Rob in the afternoon.
With Todd and Rob. Oh, yeah.
Rob, here we are.
Yeah, we're back again.
The second countdown worked pretty well.
Yeah, that was good timing. I guess I should have started it without the first countdown, and it would have worked better. It's one of the challenges of these live streaming platforms to time when you start the stream and when everything goes live across all of the platforms. So it's hard to get things timed up.
Yeah,
Oh.
and it's I'm watching everything here and trying to hit the button as quick as I can.
Yeah, I know. I'm the same way. I'm like scrambling trying to get things activated. But anyway, it's great to be back with the New Media Show. Todd, thanks for calling me from. I guess you're coming back from your trip here soon. So I think we'll be back in your studio here soon, right?
Yeah, we'll be back at the normal time next week. About 24 hours from now, I start the 24-hour journey to get home. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's one of those, stuck in a seat for 14 hours type of deals. So,
Yeah. That's always not fun.
yeah. And coach to boot,
Oh
so,
yeah. Well, that's even
yeah.
well, especially for me, that's especially not fun. So my knees are like up in my chin. So if that,
Yeah.
especially if the person in the front seat lowers their seat,
Yeah, I don't have
back
no
on
more
me.
status. I have
Right.
no status on United anymore, so the chance of catching upgrade is slim to none. But anyway, it just, before we started the show, I told you, you asked me what was going on with me, and I said, "I've been dreaming AI."
Yeah. Right.
We've been so heavy testing, and then I'm trying to optimize things, and, literally, I dreamt last night of, basically having a meeting with my dev team that didn't happen. It happened in a dream.
Oops.
So, and it's just like, it's a planned dev meeting, but it's, all these things in my head that I wanted to talk about with them, and
But
yeah, so
it's kind of funny your video when you talk to it because of your background, it does look like you're talking into that big microphone.
it does, doesn't it? I could actually move my head a little bit, this way, and it
Yeah,
would be
right.
perfect.
That's quite a microphone you have there, Todd. Yes.
Yeah, it is, and it's what it is the sheer mic is black, so what's happened is
Right,
because
it
there's a
blends right
black.
in. Yeah.
Yeah, it blends in perfect.
Yeah, I guess you need to have a green screen or some sort, right?
Yeah, well, I don't travel with a green screen. This virtual stuff is gonna do, but yeah, next week we'll be back with, real lighting and a real I don't think anybody wants to see a hotel room behind me. I don't think that's, very
Yeah,
exciting at all.
that's true. That's true. So you're dreaming of AI, and AI is still with us. I think it's fairly safe to say, and it's still kind of in this weird kind of limbo land right now. It kind of feels like it feels like that a lot of the big companies are embracing it. And at the same time, there's a bunch of little companies out there that are embracing it as well, trying to offer services and subscriptions and things like that. But I get the sense, and maybe we mentioned this on last week's episode, but that maybe as these big companies support AI, there becomes less of a interest or need for all of these AI startups. And I kind of wonder
Well,
about that, Todd.
I think depending on how custom of a solution you have,
Mhm.
how, for us, it's gonna be planning, post-production, social, clipping, stats, So it's definitely tied to everything
Yeah.
what we do as core. So, I've said for a while now that if you didn't incorporate this in your business, you're going to be out of business in a few years.
Yeah.
Um, you have to, and we're not going outside of our swim lanes per se,
Yeah.
but also I look at 8 or 9 podcasting competing products. And I'm like, well, I've eliminated the need for my audience to or my customers to have to pay for a third party service.
Yeah.
Um,
And that adds value to your platform to do
right.
that kind of thing. And then also, I do agree with you, Todd. I think that there is going to be a significant move towards using these AI engines to simplify workflows and processes. And the best place to do that is inside the place that you're trying to publish. And that's exactly what you're doing. And I think that there's other platforms in the medium that are pursuing this as well, but there are surprisingly a few mediums that I'm not seeing much action in that. I know that Podbean announced something just this past week too, that they had a strong AI initiative. Um,
And
I'm not
they
quite sure
did
what that looks like yet, but
they
yeah,
did a audio editor. And for me, it's like the script has really knocked it out of the ballpark.
yeah,
And
yeah,
there's a lot of people using the script. And do I need to
yeah,
really compete with the script? I don't think so. I don't think I need to compete with Adobe Audition or any of these other editors
right,
uh, that are going to have this built in very, very shortly. I guess Podbean has their own on-platform editor. Um, if you've got a tool that's going to remove stuff, you have to have an editor as well. So I don't have
right.
an editor. So why would I? To me, I'm just being trying to be strategically smart in what I build.
Yeah, because unless you have a recording process on your platform, it's a little tough to justify an editing tool, right?
Right.
So I think that it's, unless you're moving in that direction, I did speak to Lipson a little bit about this too, because they had that Lipson Studio product that they were pushing out, and I don't know what the priority of that is anymore in the company, but there's definitely but I think was it Spotify with Anchor? I think they recently announced that they got rid of their ability to record and edit in their platform.
Yeah, they did
So
something. And, they partnered up with Riverside, but,
right,
that people are gonna have to pay for Riverside. So,
unless it's bundled with it
yeah,
somehow, if that's the
unless
long-term goal. Right.
unless they did some deal and paid for Riverside for their customers,
Yeah.
but everyone I had talked to because we had looked at that, I had talked to Riverside, Squadcast, and everyone else and said, "Hey, let's do a bundle, let me integrate," and none of them were interested,
Right.
at the time. And, so for me, it was like, all right, you don't want does that mean you're gonna compete with me? And you look at what Riverside is doing, and every indication I had from Riverside and based upon what they were posting on their website, it was, made it very obvious to me that they were gonna become a potential competitor. And they we did some integration that they never completed,
Yeah.
um, and it kinda put a little sour taste in my mouth, especially after they got some money and, they changed priorities. So, uh, the Riverside hasn't been without their own challenges as far as their platform goes too.
Yeah, I know that they've been kind of courting a relationship with, Spotify for, probably over a year now. I've been seeing them mentioned in their marketing materials, quite often, and it just sounds like things progress to the next level. And I think if you look at what Spotify's doing with video, it probably makes some sense that they work with at that type of a platform, right? That can help them build video on platform, right?
But
And
again,
then
it's a stovepipe. So,
right,
they
right,
they finally come to the realization that RSS is a good thing. Making Rogan available again via RSS. So now they are, um, maybe they'll come to this realization with video as well. But I don't know if that maybe it'll take them 5 years to figure that out.
Yeah, I don't know. Did you see the posting in the download from Sounds Profitable? I thought that this was interesting. It was data that was provided by looks like Spreaker or iHeart in this case. Here, let me pull it up on the screen, and I think you'd be able to see what I'm talking about here. I guess Spreaker is saying that there's a trend up around CPMs, or what's being called revenue per million now. So I guess Spreaker's decided to rename it to a more clear basis, but they still kept that milli download
Revenue per mile download?
milli, and which is another term
Oh,
for
milli. Oh my
yeah.
god, I read that as mile. Revenue
It kind of
milli.
looks like it, doesn't it? I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I thought it was interesting, trend with an arrow up to $36.60. Now they're not entirely clear,
Yeah.
what's being sold here. My guess is this would be, host reads. I can't imagine this is programmatic.
No way.
Yeah. So,
That's pretty impressive. 3660 on a CPM. Let's call it what it really supposed to be.
yeah, I think it's an interesting, if that is true, and that's part of what I wanted to, kind of dovetail off of today too with the show is to talk about this kind of conflicting messaging that we're hearing in the medium, especially from larger media companies that are driving, a certain kind of narrative that everything is okay in the medium, while at the same time, I'm hearing a lot of people talk about, well, everybody's getting laid off from their jobs, and there's concerns about content quality now going down because there's fewer hiring and there's more focus on, jobs and salespeople being, opportunities out there. So all of these content creators that have been hired by these big production companies are having a hard time, finding their next gig, right? And so, there was some discussion about this online here over the last couple days, and it's an interesting kind of you know conversation on this topic. You know um, around a significant lack of job opportunities for content creators compared to a surplus of sales positions flooding the market. So, I think that there's really two things going on there that aren't necessarily directly related to each other here, but which is, there's a large number of sales positions because there's lots of companies out there that are looking to drive more revenue. If they can bring in, a talented person that can drive more revenue, then that's what most companies need right now. But then there's the other end of the spectrum, which is, cost cutting around content, right? If and kind of the blending of the two is usually related to revenue, right? So, budgets usually get cut and staff gets laid off when revenue isn't matching that, or there is less of a, I guess, an attitude of investment spending versus um, justified revenue-based spending, right?
Well,
I think that's kind of what we're seeing here.
they were being pretty stupid for a long time and
Yeah,
spending
right.
thousands of
Guarantees,
dollars
right?
per episode, and all this high production cost
Yeah,
when it's not needed. It's not needed. This, having a team of, I can't tell you the number of meetings I had with teams of 6 or 7 that were gonna
right.
produce one business show, and I'm like, "You guys are crazy." Of course, you didn't tell them that but there's 6 or 7 people involved in the production of one business show
Yeah,
when there really should have been, like, 2,
Right.
And maybe a couple of meetings with some marketing folks or whatever, but you really it doesn't take 7 people to launch a business show.
Yeah. And
Um,
also the conversation around this in the community was focused around, well, there's less of a focus on quality now. So,
I don't believe that.
it's like,
That's
um,
what that is that's virtual signaling for, "Well, I don't have a job."
yeah, right. And it's this focus on how they portray how many jobs in the market with content creators with mediocrity, right? And a churning, cookie cutter kind of content that are relying more and more on tools to drive downloads was the kind
Oh,
of idea that came
tool
up around this.
tools to drive downloads? That
Yeah, I
sounds like
wonder what
cheap.
that is. Yeah. So,
Tool drive
right,
downloads. I'd like to know the definition of those types. I'd like to see those tools.
right. Well, I think we all kind of know what those tools might be, and those are the paid per download type of platforms that there has been some people that have headed down that path over the years, right?
Naughty, naughty, naughty.
Yeah, exactly. But a lot of that activity now has been thwarted based on, the efforts of the hosting platforms to detect those type of kind of download farms of sorts, right? I mean, I know you guys did, right?
Yeah, we've been doing that since 2006, 7,
Yeah.
when people were more than obvious on what they were doing.
So my comeback on this whole argument around all these content creators actually not getting jobs is if this is probably a great time for you as a talented content creator that has been putting yourself into job roles to maybe go on your own a little bit, create some content, yourself, launch a show yourself instead of getting a job doing it. Create a job for yourself.
But Rob, there you can't do that. I have to be paid. I gotta be
Well,
paid thousands of dollars per episode.
right. And that also begs the next question is that there are people out there that don't have um, savings or resources that they can spend time doing that kind of stuff. I think we have to be fair and honest about it and say
But
that
Rob, you don't
I
have
mean,
to be full time.
no, that's true. No, I agree with that too.
You can
Right.
have a regular job, 9 to 5,
And still
put your
produce
40
content. Right.
and still produce content.
Yeah. Because if you're talented at this and you've been not, I hate to say this, but if you've been laid off of a content job, then maybe you need to get better at it or something. I don't know. And one way to do that is to get out and start making your own content.
We missed out on the big bucks when, they were just looking for people to be voices. And you know, I I I should have just been racking up the thousands of dollars an episode, do 4 or 5 a week.
Yeah.
You know, that would have made for some nice extra cash. Not that I had anything else to do, but
Yeah, but then you have to fit into a certain kind of culture and you have to do what you're told and all this kind of stuff. And that's kind of more of a kind of a larger media kind of, you know, that's more of an employment kind of
yeah.
opportunity for someone. And I have met quite a few people, especially in the New York market, that would just get brought in to produce like one episode of a big series, right? They would be like a showrunner or a show producer or something like that for just one episode, and then they would bounce around to different shows, being a producer on separate episodes in a show. So there's a fair amount of the people that lost their jobs that were kind of like floaters that were floating around just doing one episode of a particular podcast for a bigger company, right?
Well,
Yeah,
herein lies the ultimate problem,
right.
and this is the same thing it's faced radio,
Yeah,
is they stick with their old model.
Yeah.
You know, they if it cost $1 million to produce a single, or $20 million to produce a single episode for television, and we're going to put this on digital, then this is why we heard certain companies were paying $50,000 this last year. What I heard per episode is what one company was spending
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
per episode, and this is a big company that you know supposedly is wise with with financial information. I'll just leave it at that. And and I was just flabbergasted. I'm like, what brother, sister, and uncle were running this scheme to fill
Right.
their pockets
Yeah.
at $50,000 an episode? Um, I had told the rep, "We'll do it for 5."
Right. That's a discount. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll do it for 5. And I was just being pretentious in that regard too. But again, these big production companies paying creators did not guarantee success. If those shows had been successful and generating huge audiences, they would still be producing today because there would be enough revenue
Right.
to pay all those people that were, grabbing a nickel and dime and a quarter out of that budget. So it's obvious that these high-end productions couldn't sustain themselves in the current advertising RPM, CPM market.
Right. And
And
that's what's interesting about it is that explains a lot of the reason why we saw a lot of shows get cut, is that there were a lot of shows that were, like, maybe in development, right? That there was a lot of investment in, but not a lot of return coming out of them. And
I just look at the millions of dollars I put in podcasters' pockets, literally, that were a team of one. And
yeah,
for them, I had folks. I go back in the story about Andy McCaskey.
yeah,
Andy told me, "Please beg me, never tell." He's retired now, so this is safe to say.
yeah,
He said, "Don't ever tell anybody how much I'm making, because if my employer ever found out I was making more from my podcast than I was from my salary, they will fire me." So, here was a guy that was pulling 6 figures, fat 6 figures annually, and was a team of one. So again, you have those are the smart ones. The ones that have had a team of 1 or 2, maybe maximum of 3,
yeah,
and they're pulling down 40, $50,000 a month in advertising revenue, and they don't
mhm,
have a big team. It's doable. It's completely doable. The more hands in the pot, it's especially when you get into those big deals. Then talent, they don't even give a shit about talent, because guess what? The company's they're paying the talent a little bit of money,
right,
and the company that's producing the show takes the majority of the cash.
yeah,
So guess what? It's a recipe for disaster. Why? The talent has no skin in the game.
right. Yeah, and there's really no long-term benefit to the talent, really,
No, none.
right? And it's
So
not
why
easy
why
building a successful show, and I mean, if you look at these bigger media companies, they usually have just a handful of very popular shows, and I believe that's kind of what a lot of them have done, and they've trimmed back their inventory of produced shows. Um,
right.
Actually makes perfect sense, actually, the more I think about it, that they would wanna do that and then just kinda reset the deck chairs of sorts. And then that doesn't mean that they stop looking for new ideas and new shows, just that maybe they're a little more critical of what opportunities come their way that they are willing to spend on, right? Um, I think that makes total sense given the market right now.
And meanwhile, we are lit and live.
Good.
And matter of fact, I'm gonna load we had some Satoshis come in. I don't have it quite ready yet to show off because I got to load the screen. But I'm just like, there's other ways. There's other ways forward now, and
Yeah.
with all the ways to monetize,
Yeah. There's so
it,
many now, right?
if you Patreon, PayPal, someone send me a check, one-time donations, um, boostagrams, 1,000 sats from Andrew Grummett. Thanks, enjoyed the show from yesterday. 1,000 sats from R.W. Nash. Yeah, Todd's back, and therefore the back and forth. 1,000 sats. Um, Again, and we've got people, a lot of people now are streaming sats to us
Mm-hmm.
at 100 or 250 or whatever the number may be.
Yeah.
100 sats a minute, 1,000 sats a minute, 1,000 sats from Mike Dell. Again, it just there's and again, this show doesn't get too many PayPal donations. But
I was just going to talk about PayPal. I don't know if you saw the tweet from Roberto Blake, who is on the show down at Podfest, but he posted that PayPal was limiting his payouts. I was going to pull it up on the screen here if I could find it really quick, but they told him his transfers were too high.
Hmm.
Oh, okay. Here it is. Here it
Transfers
is.
to his bank account were too high?
Yeah, yeah. Here, let me show this to you.
Does he say how much he was transferring?
Well, it says no, he doesn't say himself,
Oh,
but
instantly available money.
yeah,
Oh,
it says here after making $25,000 in sales per month, you'll it says let's say as your selling activity changes, payments above a certain amount per month may not be available right away. That gives us a chance to review these charges or changes and keep transactions
he
between
must
you
have
and
had
your
a
customer secure.
he must have had a big uptick in sales,
Yeah,
and they must have noticed a large increase in activity.
yeah,
We've taken PayPal at Blueberry for years, and I've never seen that type of a message. And we will transfer, you know, high five figures on a
mhm,
monthly basis out of PayPal into the banking account. So,
yeah,
um, and even my personal PayPal, when we're collecting money for the podcast awards, I never have a transfer hit a transfer limit, but he must have had a big upsurge. But
yeah,
instant transfers, I always do. I don't like paying the fee, so I always do a 2 or 3 day delay,
yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's more reasonable on that. But but yeah, Todd, I also wanted to talk about kind of the lead that I have with this episode today, and that was around what's happening between kind of mainstream media, the traditional media might be the way of defining it, is appears to be in a relative state of decline and pullback, but yet we see what's happening with like podcasting and video and stuff like that. It seems to be capturing the attention of people more than these mainstream channels are. And I wanted to pull up an article from Pew Research that kind of gave a little bit of clarity on this around what's happening. It looks like audiences are declining for traditional news media, and this a little bit rides a little bit with what we talked about last week about the New York Times facing some revenue kind of declines from brand safety and things. So there's basically some issues around the the success of these mainstream media folks around gathering audience, but now they're also under pressure on what content that they have and what kind of news that they have on their platform, and they may not be able to be as monetized based on that. It says a declining share of U.S. adults are following the news closely. So fewer and fewer U.S. adults are actually following the media closely these days. And then here I'll jump down to where it actually talks about newspapers. And I think we've all known that the trend line around newspapers has not been a good one. But it's an interesting kind of fall off that continues to happen for newspapers, which probably isn't a big surprise to you, Todd, to see this.
Is this digital or paper?
It says
'Cause
daily
I
newspaper circulations, right?
I have not seen a paper newspaper.
I know I haven't either. So,
I
right.
in a hotel once in a while, I'll see one.
And then, I'll scroll down to the next graph here just so you can see it. There's a lot of discussion in this article. It says declining audiences for local TV news across multiple time slots. So
The
we're seeing
only
a
the only
decline.
way I get the only way I get local TV news is on YouTube clips.
Yep.
Where I live, an antenna
Yep.
doesn't even work.
Yep.
So the only way I can get local news clips is again just seeing the weather on a 3-minute clip out of Detroit or something like that. That's so
Yeah.
I,
So
as far as local, yeah, it's got to
so
be even.
these
I'm surprised
these
it's that good.
these numbers have been on decline. It says for evening news, it's about 3.1 million. Um, for I'm not sure which one of those
Morning
charts.
news too.
Yeah, and then
From
late night news is about the same, and then morning
6 years,
news is even
it's split.
less,
Yeah,
about 2
6
million.
years, it's halved.
Yeah.
Huh.
So people are just not getting their news information from these big sources any longer.
You know where I get it? On my Android phone is, off the home screen. I get this speed of and it actually is excellent. It's better than the iPhone. It
Right.
feeds me stuff that I'm interested in, and,
Mhm.
I've never made a setting, but it must know what I read. I get a lot of space news, I get a lot of stuff from SpaceX, I
Yeah.
get no politics,
Wow.
so
Okay.
so I get a whole feed. It's updated quite a bit on my Android phone, and I get most of my quick news there,
Mhm.
and
And
it's
then
not traditional sources.
so it says here the audiences for news programming on ABC, CBS, and NBC have been relatively stable over recent years. Now, granted, that is that's in a time frame that is not as current. It says, but the story is mixed when it comes to audio. It says there's a clear rise in audiences for podcasts and other types of online audio. So that continues to go up. And then down here is for US newspapers estimated circulation revenue. So as you look at this is an interesting little chart because what it shows you is a serious decline in advertising revenue when it
Yeah.
comes to newspapers, how it's actually lower than the the subscription
I
revenue.
I wonder when Craigslist came in on that graph.
Mm,
Where did Craigslist hit? Well, was
probably
Craigslist
at the at the peak of the advertising cycle here, probably, and it's been in downhill ever since.
right, straight downhill.
Yeah, right. So, and then here, local television revenue has been roughly stable. It says public radio revenue has increased. Looks like from 2020, 1.1 billion in 2020 to 1.2 billion in 2021. It doesn't. It says an increase of 8% between 2021 and 2022.
Well, and if you looked at this probably at a more closer scale, I would almost bet you that, election years
Yeah.
you
It's in
know,
different, right?
drive huge revenue, and it's the cash, it's the gift that keeps giving. That's the only thing I think that's still saving major media is every 4 years they get this influx of billions of dollars of advertising.
Yeah. And also, I think as you look at even these graphs and these charts that I'm showing on the screen here, especially this one, it's basically revenue trends vary across cable news networks, and it basically charts the revenue of CNN, MSNBC, and Fox News, and you're seeing a serious decline in revenue for it appears to be CNN and MSNBC, where Fox News continued an upward trajectory through the pandemic period. It doesn't go beyond much beyond that probably goes into 2023 is the numbers here.
That says 2022 at the bottom of the chart.
Yeah, you're right. It doesn't, but it's do those bars go beyond it? No, they don't. So,
No.
yeah, so we're still missing 2 years of data here. So,
Well, a
my
year worth.
contention is that is that the declines here would be even more significant than what we are seeing here.
To be honest with you, I can't tell you the last time I was on CNN or MSNBC.
Right.
Stuff from Fox does come across my newsfeed from time to time, but most of it is usually non-political stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. But my kind of my gut, and probably the same with you, is that there are fewer and fewer people, and it's very partisan, and demographic related as well to some degree. Of the people that are watching cable news tend to be on the older end of the spectrum. I'm just speculating on this. It's probably not 100% true, but um, and I don't know what's your observation on that, Todd. I think it does those news networks that we're talking about, except for maybe to some exception, Fox News, do kind of fall along
No, absolutely.
political divides.
Oh, yeah, the reason I quit watching mainstream media is because it gave me anxiety. So
Yeah,
I don't watch any of them because it's
yeah,
an anxiety-laden tirade of
right.
talking heads that don't half the time know what, and they're so politicized, and they can't see beyond their own noses. I just keep telling my audience there's this big worry, in media right now that upcoming election and election fraud and blah blah blah, and it's deep fakes, and I just keep telling people, hey, you have a brain, use it,
Right,
source material. If you read something, you say, is that true? Do a little more digging and looking around, especially if it's something you don't agree with or
yeah.
pisses you off or whatever. You make sure that do your own research and
Well, and
use
also,
your brain. Don't
yeah, it actually even goes beyond that, Todd. I think it's really being open to the possibility that what you may perceive as a conspiracy theory, may not be as conspiracy as you might first think it is, and just being open to learning about other possible scenarios that may be happening that maybe you're just not aware of.
I think we're well beyond that. I don't think people are. I think people are pretty polarized at this point and don't want to listen to each other because there's no reason. It's one extreme or the other. It's either this far right, far left. There's no one. There's no one talking down the middle and being reasonable about discussions. So this is why people have tuned out.
And I think it's what's happening here is very dangerous, but it's also scary for the media landscape too. So, you
No,
know,
they're sticking a knife in their own backs. They're killing themselves.
I mean, because in the
So,
long run, it's going to backfire on all of them.
well, I think it already has. I
Yeah,
used to be an
and
avid I used to be an avid news watcher. I used to go through all the channels, all of them.
mhm,
I'd give an equal time to CNN and Fox and MSNBC.
yeah,
But that was more than 10 years ago.
yeah,
And now I can't stand to watch any of them. So where do I go? Where do I feed my brain? I feed my brain with stuff that isn't gonna stress me out. I'll be honest with you. I have no idea what's happening in America right now. None, zero. It is because guess what? I've been 30 days. I've been completely disconnected
Yeah, you have.
from,
Sure.
and no one cares. We're here where I'm at. No one cares about what's going on in America. I do get asked from time to time, be people, what do you think of Trump? What do you think of Biden? And I'll be honest with you, and these aren't expats, these are
These are
people that
locals.
are locals. They love Trump, they think, and it's kind of like, huh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
They don't have no skin in the game. Um, and I asked why, and the perception is he says what he means. So that's the perception they have here, and yet there's no media per se that's inundating people on politics in the United States. So you get outside the walls of our own country, and largely people don't care. And I think that's the thing is we as Americans need to realize is that you know we live in this bubble that the rest of the world could give two craps about. They have their own local politics and stuff that they
Oh,
talk
yeah,
about.
everybody has their own issues, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think it's a little scary though that people are pulling back from trying to dissect what's happening. I think there's a danger that things could happen and the population just won't even be aware of what's happening.
Oh,
And
I think you see that all the time with these YouTube clips of people on the street being asked very, very simple questions, and it's
yeah,
I don't expect a 20-year-old to be to know who the Speaker of the House is. They probably could care less, but it's probably when I was 20, I didn't know either, so to be frank. Um,
yeah. And sometimes it's hard for people to really comprehend, macro dynamics in a society and a culture at the level of things that are going on. It's hard to comprehend sometimes, and it's hard to trust that maybe a different view is a possibility, right? Versus just kind of following the sheep of what everybody's saying is going on. I think it's
well,
right.
I think that's why you should listen to a lot of podcasts. There's a lot of diversity in podcasts with a lot of great conversations.
Yeah, and start piecing it together yourself. But it does take a certain kind of active engagement to ascertain those things, and I think it can put each of us in a socially challenging position
Well,
too, because as we start to change our opinions, we're going to start talking about it more to others, and that could make others uncomfortable because of a different view.
Rob, to be honest with you, I think that the over the last 8 years per se,
Hmm.
um, I think the majority of normal people, of regular people, have
Hmm.
tuned out. They don't want to hear it, and they're going to just do what their heart tells them, and that's it. I don't think they. I think because it got so
So
nasty.
bad, right? Well, it's continuing to be that way, right?
Yeah. Well, thank God I'm not participating because it's one of those situations where my brain doesn't need it. And
It's just
thus, I
it,
listen.
it it's just everybody could wake up one day and realize that their country is no longer what they thought it was.
Well, yeah, and my grandfather
Right. Right.
used to say, "This country's going to hell in a handbasket."
Right. That's been a long
And
time though, right? Yeah.
yeah, that's and that was when I was a little whippersnapper, 13 years old, 14
Yeah.
years old, and he would complain about the R's and the D's, and he would cuss them up down one side the other. Well, 50 years later, here we are, and we're still surviving. So
Yeah.
Not there's never one person that can have so much power that they can change everything. So that's there is still a sense of checks and balances, even though and politically fire them all is my opinion, and it remains.
Clear the slate, right? Yep.
Yeah, clear
But
the
but
slate,
but the
term
question
limit.
is, who do you replace them with? Is the is the
Oh, you
bigger
do term
question.
limits and you replace everybody, right?
At
Mm,
some point, right? This
right.
concept
You
of
cycle
a
them
of a
through.
of a of a bureaucracy that is full of people that have been there for 30 years or something like that.
Yeah,
Those days are
they got
gone,
22
right?
hands in their pockets, dropping millions of dollars.
Yeah, yeah.
So, anyway, um, mm, I don't know, I think mainstream media is screwed, it's just a matter of time, but the money's still being spent there, so, billions of dollars are going into cable advertising, so those billions of dollars are not coming into podcasting, and there's a reason for that,
Yeah, I think it's an interesting question. Why isn't that happening?
'cause it's a lot of work. Media buyers don't want to go deep. They they wanna deal with the top 5%, and they don't wanna deal, with the 95% that will actually get them to multi-billions of dollars of advertising.
Mhm.
So, therein lies the 20-year problem of putting money in smaller creators' pockets.
Thought I wanted to share this other article that I found, um, actually from the site, Rain News. They actually talked about, this concept of here, let me add this to the stage here. I guess there was, some research that was done from Veritonic. It's the Veritonic Audio Attention Report, and it talks about, the need to keep audio ads simple and not too loud is this concept. So, because if the ads are too loud, then it turns people off, right? Which makes
Well, it's
logical sense,
just like TV,
right?
you know? If you have something on TV and all of a sudden the ad comes on and it's 20 decibels higher, what do? You immediately grab the remote control
Right.
and you play that cat and mouse game of up, down, up, down.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's important the audio quality of your ad in podcasts, in audio advertising.
Oh, it tells
Um,
me that the, audio injected ads are not, being leveled.
yeah, and that's been an issue on the radio side for many years. I'm sure you'll recall is the quick action on the volume button on your radio
Yeah.
when an announcer ad comes up and it's like, double the volume. It blows your ears out. That's a common practice even in television advertising, is to at any advertising break, you just ramp up the volume to get people's attention, right? It's all about that's the whole thing about advertising, right? It's always been about, being a disruptor to people's attention, right? And loud is one way of doing that. And flashy graphics and zingers and all sorts of things that they do on radio to keep people paying attention.
Yeah, and again, I think it goes back to, you don't need to kill them with a hammer. You just need to gently persuade
Don't
them to help you out and go take a
don't
look.
uh, don't make your audience deaf with your ads, I guess is the takeaway on that for me. So yeah.
To talk a little
Oh,
stuff.
your bandwidth was cutting out there on you a little bit. But
Yeah,
Todd, can you hear me? Yeah.
you want a little bit about the IEB stuff?
Yeah. No, I have that up here. So there was an announcement on the 23rd off of Pod News about the IAB podcast measurement guidelines version 2.2, Todd. So I'm
Yeah.
sure that you know quite a bit about all this. I
Yeah, I sat
I
through
would
those meetings.
imagine. Yeah. Here, I'll zoom in on it a little bit so you can see better.
It
Um,
hasn't shown up on my side yet.
oh, it hasn't?
There we
Okay.
go, there we go.
The It looks like the IEB Tech Lab has released a new version of the measurement guidelines, and is looking for comments on it. I guess if you want to comment on this, I guess you have till March 23rd to get your comments in. And version 2.2 add a requirement for companies to be clear whether they are using a fixed or rolling 24-hour window for measurement. That's part of that thing I think we talked about at one point, is that there's some variabilities in these settings that can generate different outputs, right? And this is one of them,
Mhm.
right?
Again, remember the 24-hour window is the minimum.
Right. But it either fixed or starts at the point of initial request, right?
Yeah, I think we're using fixed. I don't quote me on that.
And that could generate different numbers.
Yeah. But
So
again, depends on how far back you look.
so
You can use a
wouldn't
fixed and look further back.
wouldn't a rolling 24-hour window, does that generate
The rolling window probably
more
would be
more
more.
more
Yeah,
downloads versus a
yeah.
fixed? Right.
Well, again, it goes back to that, the pure science on this and how many times do we really see the same IP twice?
Right.
And in the end, it's not very very often. We do see IPs twice, but very rare to see the same IP a third time within a 24-hour window. But
And then also it says a requirement to update safe IP addresses lists, such as those for large known corporations and universities. So that's like white lists, right?
right. And to be honest with you, those lists have always been pretty thin.
Have they?
Yeah, because just the way the modern internet works, there's not that much firewalling that's going on now where corporations are routing everyone through a single, because think about it.
Right.
Someone goes to work, they don't connect their phone to the office Wi-Fi. They
Right.
can't.
It's through the cellular network.
So
Right.
they're on their cellular network. They're in so what are those so are people using their computers in the office to listen to
On
podcasts?
on
No,
Wi-Fi, right? Or off
no,
of a network connection,
right,
maybe.
no, no,
Right.
and college students the same. They're using their phones. Maybe they're using college campus Wi-Fi, maybe.
Right.
But
Or
again, the majority of them are just using data.
right. Right. So
So,
it's a declining number anyway. So, where do those safe IP address actually come from, Todd?
self-generated largely.
Are
It's
they?
stuff that
Okay.
yeah, it's the other list is the one that basically we pay for a service that tells us all of the known servers, and so basically the deny list or whatever you wanna call it these days.
Right.
Uh, and I think James is getting a little too bit wrapped up on the IB certification in the last 12 months. I think you'll see a large number of companies start the, they've got 12 months now to do well. As soon as this comes out
Mhm.
and is validated, then the companies basically have until the end of the year to get recertified.
And then I guess there's clarification on that an ad can only be considered to be delivered or fully downloaded if the overall episode download was valid. So,
Yeah, I think that's always been the case.
yeah, that's what I thought too. But what's changed around the classification of being valid?
Yeah, I don't know. That
You're not
I
sure?
guess we'll have to find out what the auditors have to say about that.
Yeah.
Again, and here's the risk. It says add if the overall, so does that mean that people that aren't running ads are, where's the counting going to happen?
Well,
So
yeah, I think it's specifically referring to counting. Was it counting of ads?
yeah, counting of ads.
Ads only when the episode has been validly delivered.
validly delivered.
I don't know if that's even a word, validly.
Well, so, if you think
Right.
about it, can you validate in a redirect that the media file was delivered?
Well, and what is that? That's a
It deli
loaded word
Yeah,
too.
yeah,
What is
delivered.
delivered?
Did the IP bytes get delivered?
Right. I mean, was it fully downloaded or was it just a partial play or
Yeah,
there's
I
a
think
yeah,
I think there's some good questions to be asked around that. What
yeah,
does that really mean?
right.
Yeah.
And then some changes with was it mass market technology changes in measurement reports, possibly the result of Apple changes to iOS 17. I'm not exactly sure what that means, but
Scroll back up. Let me read that again. Practice to be put in place to account for mass market technology changes in
it's not very specific.
no.
Yeah, and James says here only 5 companies have undergone IEB certification in the last 12 months.
Yeah, well, again, I think what we'll see here is I don't wanna get into the politics of what the IAB did, but I think you'll see a lot of recertifications this year.
Yeah, it was almost like it says the IEB had required companies to recertify annually, but its website ordered that recertification must be completed by December 31, 2023 to maintain compliance status. No companies have recertified so far this year, and that requirement was removed from the IAB website yesterday.
So,
Of
again, when this comes out, we'll have a new
They've
version.
pushed that deadline out further is what they've done, of the December 31,
I
2023 deadline.
Yeah, I'm not aware if that changed or not. I wasn't in a meeting where that was discussed, so I
Yeah,
really can't, again, um, the originally, we didn't there wasn't going to be a requirement to recertify every year. It was gonna be when there was gonna be a version change um, on the specification, or you had a material change internally at your company, which required you to self-report and say, "I need to recertify." In
right.
other words, you change something in your processes that would require that. And then, ultimately, the tech lab decided that because MRC and others recertify annually, that going forward, um, companies would have to recertify annually and, gave folks some time, uh, in essence, to prepare for that. I guess that's the best way to say it.
Yeah,
So we'll see how many companies recertify. It is gonna be an interesting because, it's not cheap, but it's cheaper than what it was. So but still,
right.
you still have, significant amount of cost there.
Yeah,
And yeah, members and non-member certification too. So you got people that are not members that pay a higher rate to get certified than members.
mhm. Interesting, yeah. Yeah, Todd, I saw that, looks like Joe Rogan has his RSS feed back in Apple again. I saw that.
Yeah,
Oh, I think we talked about it last week's
yeah, yeah,
episode.
yeah. Yeah.
So
Just wonder
anyway,
what that means to his numbers.
well, I think
There's no one will know.
Spotify was pretty optimistic that, if they were gonna take a chunk of his ad sales, that that they were thinking that the revenue might be higher for him, right? Else they wouldn't have done that kinda deal.
Well, I'm sure they looked at pre Spotify numbers and they probably know pretty well. I'm sure there's a lot of people very happy he's back on RSS.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, you can get Joe's full 3-hour shows in your podcast app now. So, Todd, I launched, my podcast tips show on Blueberry this past
Oh, he did.
past week. Yeah,
How was your
I'll
experience getting started over there with this? Did you do it on the dashboard? Did you do it with your website? What did you do it with?
I did it off of WordPress.
Oh,
So
okay.
mainly, but there is some things that I've had to learn about bouncing back and forth between the Blueberry side and
You
the
should never
website.
have to go to the Blueberry site.
Oh, okay. Well, it redirects me over to the Blueberry site for destinations.
It shouldn't.
I shouldn't? Okay. I need to
No.
talk to Mike then.
Have you synced your can you upload to us directly in WordPress right now?
Yes. For both audio and video
Yeah,
podcasts. Yeah.
it shouldn't it may push you over to an explanation site. Now for Spotify, yeah, you have to come onto the dashboard to submit to Spotify. But for the mi
Oh,
for a few of the destinations, you have to come on the dashboard and connect with the API, but the majority of those you should not.
got it. Got it.
Yeah,
Um,
Spotify would be one you would have to submit on the dashboard.
just trying to look here to see. Um, successful. If I have those posted in here. Oh yeah, here it is.
Yeah, the rest of them should be pretty much from just following the instructions, but yeah, Spotify would be one you'd have to submit because we have to do some magic.
Yeah, so I
Oh,
got
there it is.
the video feed set up. I titled
Oh,
the album art video edition, kind of like what we do for the new media show too.
you got
So,
16 episodes already?
yep, that's how many are
Wow.
in this feed. Yep.
Wow. So I guess you posted 16 at once?
Yeah, I did.
Rah.
Well, it's because I started this show back in October, so I wanted to catch up. So each show
Oh,
going
okay.
forward would be kept up to date. So that's the idea behind it.
All right.
Yeah.
I got you. So it's purely video?
This particular one, and then I've got the the audio version too. So I have 2 feeds. So just like with this show.
Yeah.
So I have that, and then, this one is there as well. So I add that to the stage here. You can see the audio edition version, and it's got 16 episodes in there too.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I guess it's kind of rare to get set up like this these days, but I thought I would do it and see what happened and see what the
Uh-huh.
reaction in the community
Are you
is
running
to.
are you running channels or categories?
The video version is running off of a channel. The audio one is like the default.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So you're doing the same way I'm doing this show here.
Yeah,
So you have 2 blocks in the
correct.
WordPress post. Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right.
Correct.
Well, cool beans. You
Yeah.
get to play around with our stats and all kinds of stuff. You get to
Oh,
dig
yeah.
in, get
Yeah.
your media kit set up, start
Definitely.
your, audience survey.
Yeah, there you go. I can start doing all this cool stuff, and I can eventually play around with your AI stuff too.
Yeah, you send me, if you wanna be on the beta, I'll send you the NDA.
Okay. Oh, there's an NDA that rides with that too. I
Yeah,
can't talk
it's
about
only
it.
the NDA is, only good well, basically, NDA expires as we release it, obviously.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Before it goes public to the world. All right.
Yeah, yeah. Especially if you do show planning, that's the piece I want tested the most at this point.
Oh.
Yeah, our show planning piece is, because I don't do show planning. So
Yeah,
for me, I
I do a little bit with this show that I'm doing.
so it
But
might be
yeah, it's one of those things that has to be done in advance of the
yeah, yeah,
program
yeah.
because I'm doing it
Oh,
live.
then
So right.
yeah.
So it's a little different than trying to pull a description for,
So what are the
what's
things that
actually
you
done.
do
Right.
in your planning? What are the specific things that you do preparing for that to do that show?
Yeah, I come up with a theme for the show based on
Okay,
the guest that I have. I've got James Cridlin on tomorrow night.
right.
So it'll be like about kind of global podcasting. I come up with a title and a theme of the show. Like
A title and theme.
last week, I had on Ray Ortega. He was on the show last week, and he's been doing a lot of work with audio and video stuff. So the the topic of that show was the basics needed to do a video podcast. So that's what I talked to him about on that show. So I create a theme of the show at the
Mhm.
top level that I can promote on the cover art or on
Yep.
the YouTube video art, and then I run that theme through Chat GPT, and it outputs a bunch of big topics, and then I just use that as my show outline. I make some modifications to it, but I use that in my show outline, and then I also use it in my description for the show. So
Do you come up with a goal for the show? For the episode?
when you say goal, what are you
You
talking
obviously
about?
you have a topic, but
Yeah,
do you have an actual goal of what you wanna cover?
cover in the show.
Oh,
Yeah, it's actually in the actual description that's created is the key kind of talking points and themes here. I can pull it up on the screen. You can see it a little bit. So this is the breakdown of an episode
yeah.
that I create with
So
Ray.
do you go out and look for sources like, different articles that you're gonna talk about, different types
Uh,
of things you
no, one thing that's different about this show too, compared to a lot of other things too, is that this has a large live audience to it.
Mm,
So I take a lot of questions. So it's one of those things that I juggle with the topic flow of the conversation with bringing in questions and comments from the audience. So it's trying to walk that line between doing all that. Like we didn't get any comments on this show today, but I'll on this show I get probably maybe a couple hundred comments in each episode.
wow. So
So
do you have target keywords for each episode?
uh yeah, there's ones that are down here at the bottom of the screen here. They're actual tags.
Oh,
But
okay.
I mean, if you're talking about target keywords, yeah, yeah.
Alright.
But really, it's more about just kind of following a thread of conversation, and then also being able to be flexible enough to just go with the conversation, kind of like what we do with this show. I mean, it's loosely organized, but there's a lot of kind of going off the road. You might say on the topics that we talk about, like on this show. So I do that show very similar to how we do this show, but I
Yeah.
do some editing on this program. So I'll add some visual graphics. I'll pull out those countdown clocks, kind of like what I did with this show at the beginning. Um, so those don't kind of cloud the experience at the beginning. So
So
I
what
get
I'll do
people right into the content right away on YouTube.
you've already done your planning with, for James's show already?
No, I'm gonna do that after we get done here, and then I'll post a scheduled event tonight.
Oh, okay. Because I can't get you access to it until I have one of my devs turn your show on, so that'll be
Mm,
tomorrow.
okay.
But I can get you into you can do your planning and then come in and use my tool and do your planning on my tool and see what do a A versus B. That'd be actually really good. Do a A/B test.
Mhm.
So come up with your own, and time it. Time how long it takes you to put your production together.
Mhm.
And if it takes you 45 minutes or half hour, whatever it takes, and then when you use my tool, do the timing and
Mhm.
see how long it takes to come up with and I'd really love to hear your feedback because I think you're gonna like our little tool.
Yeah. Well, that's good. But yeah, it usually doesn't take me that long. I mean, I come up, I have a guest and I have an idea of why that guest is with me
Yep.
and what that topic would focus on based on my guests' experience and what they bring to the program, and I kind of cater that to them. And so I
Yeah,
just
yeah.
come up with that from that, and then the AI helps me come up with a more organized outline of possible topics with that person. But I give it enough where it kind of knows where to go.
Right, right, right. Yeah, I think you'll
Yeah,
like the episode planning tool that we've got. Because I was just curious what your process was, and I keep asking podcasters, and a lot of times it's the same. Those that aren't using AI, they kind of have like their own chicken scratch put together what they're going to talk about.
yeah,
And but yeah, I'll be curious to see what you think of the show flow. But
right.
there's a yeah. Anyway, I won't go into any details. I'll let you play with it yourself because I want you to give me your raw feedback.
Yeah, so this is what the show looks like on YouTube. So I created a playlist on my channel
Sure.
for the StreamYard channel. So this is on my channel, but it points to playback off of the StreamYard platform
Right. Yeah.
and their channel. So it's actually getting all of the plays over on their platform. So if I go in here to Ray's episode, it actually will start and right.
I have never
Yeah.
seen a compression algorithm
I
deliver
haven't heard
quality in
I haven't
such
heard from Ray in a long time.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. You can see off to the right over here on
Yeah.
the screen, there's a bunch of comments that are, that have already come in on
Yeah.
the show.
Nice.
And those actually show up on the screen because I click and pull them into the program, and then both Ray and I can see those comments on the screen, and we can
Yeah.
address
Yep.
them.
And respond to them.
Yeah. So that's how that all works. So and they're coming in from LinkedIn and Twitter and YouTube and I mean lots of places. So
Right.
yeah. So
The
anyway,
LinkedIn comments make it into the YouTube chat?
yeah. Well, they come into StreamYard,
Oh, okay.
and then I pull them. I click on them and pull them across the screen, just
Oh, I
like what
see.
I would do
Yeah, yeah,
here.
yeah.
You know, like that, right? So it's a pretty simple process, but that's how it works. So it comes in from all these platforms. So it's fun. It's definitely a exciting way of doing a show. You got to really stay focused on the content. Plus, you have to stay focused on the audience, and you have to um, juggle the visuals back and forth, kind of like what I've been doing to some degree with this show too. So it's trying to create something that's a little bit more eye catching for the viewer, right? And I also made a new. I'm sure you saw it at the beginning. Is I made a new thumbnail for us too, Todd. I don't know.
Oh, I didn't see that. Oh,
I can
nice.
pull it up here too. So actually, it was made in Canva. Is where I made this.
Okay.
So
Yeah, Canva's pretty cool.
I took out the backgrounds behind us in the pictures, and then I just created a different version of it.
Yeah, make sure you send that over to me. I didn't hit record today, Rob, so you're gonna have to send me the audio file. I was a doofus.
Okay, that's right. I'm
Failed at
capturing.
my
I'm grabbing everything, so it's fine.
failed in my hosting duties here.
It's all right. I thought it was all happening on my side anyway, so there's no surprise here for me. So, all right. Well,
Well, I again, it's I'm sure the audience is tired of hearing about AI, but be honest with you, what I have found,
yeah,
and I'm gloating a little bit.
you're glad.
Um, yeah, my post production now on my show is back to where it was prior to me starting using AI tools.
Really?
Because before I was using a bunch of different stuff.
Mhm.
I was using Anthropic for my transcripts. I was using OpenAI for some, and it just basically now all that flows in our internal tool, and it happens so fast
Yeah.
that my post production time is just back to normal now,
Oh.
and I've got a 10 times better product.
Mhm.
So, time is money in my opinion. Um, it really is, and I think when a podcaster realizes the output, the metadata output is
Mhm.
going to be so much better. Um, I don't know if let me see if I can show it. Um, or maybe you can.
What's that? What are you trying to pull up?
Hang on a second here. So pull up. I don't know why it's not showing up on 5. Maybe I failed, but if you pull up episode 578, the Podcast Hall of Fame Insights of the New Media Show, and scroll down to the player.
Okay, let's see. 5 what? What was the number again? 578?
578. Yeah.
Okay. Here, I'll pull
And
it
then
up.
show that on the screen. And then look at the audio players. Now see those check boxes, those tick marks?
Mhm.
Go to the not the play button, but go to the advance, where it basically allows you to where it says plus 15, minus 15. Just do that button, not right there. Go to the next one. Click on
Over
that.
over
Yeah,
here.
just click it one time. Yeah.
Todd and Rob in the
And you say, this is wrong. I don't think the advertisers care. So now click that again and it'll jump.
Okay. In the world than has ever happened.
Yeah, I think it's just so those chapter markers have been, and we had a bug. So that bug's been worked out. Matter of fact, I need to go back and regenerate the chapter markers, but
Mhm.
those now are auto generated.
Oh, okay. Well, that's awesome.
Yeah. So I don't have to manually do anything. And those are actually chapter files that go um, basically it's embedded in the RSS feed, and then the player picks up on it. And again, I think that particular episode, we had a bug with the AI output, but we've got that
Mhm.
fixed. And the ultimately what we have now is the ability to come up with chapter files that we don't have to manually do. The AI just does it, and it's
Oh,
remarkably good.
yeah. That's cool.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, do
really,
you
really
see the developments that's happened around text query to generate full motion videos?
yeah.
That's starting to happen. That'll be
And
interesting to see that come.
whenever it's released,
Right.
yeah. But yeah, so it's just again what we've done or what is
Mhm.
being done is we're making a better user experience with this,
Yeah.
with the metadata,
Right.
and so I'm pretty jazzed with the whole process at this point.
Mhm. And are those chapter markers identified somewhere? So if you click on the New York Times, that's the link, right?
Yeah, I
To
don't know if
that.
that might be another thing we might need to fix. I don't think that's going to go anywhere if you click on it.
Let's see.
Yeah,
Nope.
that one doesn't have a hyperlink tied to it. It's just the actual chapter file.
Okay.
So if you click on the hamburger,
Click on the
uh,
hamburger.
yeah, and then go to chapters.
That's how you find the actual breakdown.
Yeah, that's where you can see the breakdown.
Okay. Yeah.
Again, I didn't. Those were completely generated by the AI.
There's eight chapters, it looks like.
Yeah. And again, I think there's an issue with that particular chapter file. Probably need to go in and fix it because if you scroll to the bottom, what's the last time mark?
Looks like
Oh, maybe I did.
123.
Maybe I did fix it. So
Yeah.
yeah. So and if you go to my show, if you go to Geek News Central, um, you'll kind of see that the chapter markers are even more extreme. But those are being hand edited. Let's go down to the last episode. You'll have to go down and find it. Yeah,
Right
click
here.
on that there. Why isn't that chapter file? Oh, there they are. See how many there are?
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
take
There's
a
a
sec.
lot. There's a lot in
There's
there.
a lot. Yeah, and when my post editing goes down, he'll add the hyperlinks to all those.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, a bunch of chapter files, 30 or so.
Yeah. Yeah, you can see them all on the screen now.
Yeah, so go ahead and click the hamburger again. And then
There's
click
chapters.
chapters. Yeah, the welcome. And see, I don't have any art. So art can go along with this.
Right.
So if you upload art for every chapter,
Well, eventually the AI will be able to generate those art pieces, right?
here's the thing, it's really, really expensive to do art in the API call.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, the text queries are very inexpensive. But the art queries are pricey. Yeah, there could potentially be art being done by the AI, but again, um, it's very, 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 very expensive to do those art API calls. So
So I don't see your video file in here. Is it?
yeah, it's go up. It's right there.
Oh, it's up
Oh,
there.
I didn't do video. I'm on the road. I don't do video when I'm on.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
I think you'd
yeah,
have to go to a different episode probably to see that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But and I don't have art set up on the video episodes.
Yeah, so I was going to say it. Do you see chapters coming to the video side?
Not in the current player, no. So again, the chapters are brand new for this because we've been again testing the AI out. So
Right.
yeah, you probably have to go all the way down and just click the.
I think it was on the
Yeah, you're
video.
almost in a
on
mobile view, so you have to go down and click keep going down. Yeah, no, just go down. You're gonna have to go many, many pages.
Oh,
I
really?
don't I don't know why you can't see the sidebar.
That's because I have it large.
Okay, so you have to go down and click the video podcast link in the bottom. Yeah, you have to go all the way to the bottom because that's where that menu is.
Oh, it's the
Yeah.
video podcast.
Oh, you're on a page view.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's gonna be unless you go to the main page, go back to the home page. Oh, wait a minute. You can go up. You see a sidebar now. Go ahead and go down. Right here, right here, right here. Go down, go down, go down. You walk
Oh,
right by it. It says see
right.
video, click on video.
Right.
And that should oh yeah, you have to keep going.
Yeah, because you've been gone a month, so there's going to be
Yep.
episodes, lots of
Yeah.
non-video episodes. Right.
So go older posts and you should find one right before that. Now go to the bottom.
But there's nothing.
No, because I've been gone all the month of February. So go
Right.
older post.
Right.
Now you should find one. Yeah, there's video. Yeah, no chapter files because I didn't link the chapter file on video.
Oh, okay. So does that that artwork that's represented in the video image is that generated automatically, or did
The
you do
square one
something?
is, not the 16:9 one.
Oh, okay. So you had to generate that with AI, but then add the
Yeah,
text to the
yeah,
top.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
So, anyway, um, yeah,
Yeah.
just,
So,
bits and pieces little by little.
yeah, so I have my podcast tips at where's the not sure where the podcast. I think yeah. Yeah. So what's the landing page address there? It'd be
For which
blueberry.net for the WordPress instance. I'm trying to figure that. So would that
um,
be
you're looking at your feed. Are you using our provided WordPress site?
yeah. Yeah.
So just go to your domain.
Oh, that's it. Right. Okay. Yeah, that's what I have set up so far.
Yeah, you can switch to the other player. You're using the, yeah, so just go into settings in PowerPress, you can change to the other player.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. So, what's that player called in the platform?
Just,
What?
go in your dashboard and I'll show you. Doing tech support call here.
Yeah. So I go into here and
And then now you go PowerPress and then audio player.
audio player, right?
Yeah. And then, Blueberry player modern, activate and customize. Oh, that's weird that it's not showing up. Why is that not showing up?
I don't know.
That's I'm gonna take a screenshot of that. Scroll back down.
I'll scroll
That
back
should
down.
Yeah, I got it. That should not be that should be showing up. It's very weird.
Hmm.
Huh.
Yeah, it's still
So,
early in the
yeah, so
kind
do
of setup
so
here.
just go ahead and save at the bottom. I think you can save, or maybe you already have. Yeah, hit save changes. Now go back to your website. Do a refresh.
That's
Oh.
broken.
Oh, that's broke. You may wanna go back to it. I'll find out what's going on. Oh my goodness.
Something's not
That's yeah,
configured
something.
quite right. Audio
No,
player.
there's, oh,
There it is.
oh, that's bizarre.
Came came through in the end. Let's see
Yeah, some
if
sort
it
of caching issue. You
it
may
just
have to
okay, there it is.
yeah, there it is. Hmm, had me
So
freaking out.
yeah, and then, looks like on the video player, what is
Yeah,
that?
so in the video player, you can do so what I
Is it
use is, I use
this one?
the do I use the media elements? Let me look. So what you can do yeah, I use the media elements, I think.
Mhm.
Yeah, I use the media elements one. So if you activate and customize, now you can do, put in player width and player height. Uh,
Yeah, I'm
well,
not sure.
you can leave
Yeah.
it blank, but you can set up a default poster image if you don't include
Oh,
one,
right. Yeah. Okay.
and then you can overwrite the poster image when you publish the episode.
Right.
So now go to your dashboard, go to post. Sorry, everyone,
It's
we're,
okay.
go to post.
Post.
Yeah,
Right.
all post. Now, do edit the classic editor. Do classic editor.
Classic
Edit
editor.
classic editor. Yeah. Now go down and yeah, keep scrolling. And now see where it says episode artwork. Go up a little bit.
Oh yeah, here, right.
So you can set now. If you go to your video one, go to your video channel, episode artwork.
Let's see, is that
Now keep going down. Yeah, there's
right
now
there?
click episode artwork. Oh, you
Okay.
should be able to have. I don't know why it's not showing your other artwork. There's another setting for artwork. Why is that? I'm learning things here, Rob.
I just
Don't know why.
haven't fully set up everything yet, I guess.
Yeah, but as soon as you enable the video, it should show up on there. I don't know why it doesn't. See, these are things I learned by looking at your screens.
By
I'll send this to
experimenting,
Mike. I'll
right?
send this to Mike, and I'll be like, WTF?
All right.
No,
Well, I think we're at the bottom of the hour, Todd. I think we did a quick Blueberry WordPress demo there of sorts.
of sorts. And some stuff that was missing. Why isn't that there?
Yeah, right. Well, that's the process. That's how you
Yeah.
learn what's going on with your platform, right?
So expect, I've been running default for years, and I get into a new account. I'm like, oh, Mike says, oh yeah, you got to flip this switch. Well, why don't we make people flip that switch? Let's get rid of that.
Right. Right.
Okay.
Well, thank you everybody for hanging in there through
Yeah.
the little tech support session on the New Media Show. So thanks.
I'm Todd at blueberry.com, at Geek News on X, at Geek News, at geeknews.chat on Mastodon.
And I can be found on X as well at Rob Greenlee, and on my YouTube channel at just Rob Greenlee if you do a search for that, and also on StreamYard if you want to check out the show. But you can get to all my shows if you just go to my channel, and robgreenlee.com. And if you want to send me an email, robgreenlee@gmail.com is a great way to get a hold of me. So thanks for watching and being with us.
Yes, thank you so much. We'll see you guys next week at our normal time back in the studio in Michigan.
Yeah. All right. Good night, everybody. Yep.